Mr. Fields. It's me again, once again, Lawrence Coleman III, back with Lauren Baskin. Today I will be covering Frederick, chapter 7. It was a good read myself. I believe that it was a pretty good read. So I believe, Lauren, that the theme of this essay was knowledge and ignorance. Basically, Frederick Douglass in this essay was talking about how he was learning how to read and write. And as the essay keeps going on along, he is regretting this because he's starting to learn some things and realize some things that he didn't understand before he knew how to read and write. One quote that was stated that I thought that acknowledged this theme was when he said, "Nothing seemed to make her more angry than to see me with a newspaper." So Frederick Douglass, obviously, he was reading the newspaper. He was learning how to read and write. So I believe that he was looking at some of the things that was in the newspaper at this time that could have been, how many black people were dying and like the different things that were going on in the world. And he's starting to realize, like, wow, we live in a messed up society. Like, the world is really crazy. Another quote that goes along with this theme, he said, "I would at times feel like learning to read has been a curse rather than a blessing. It's given me a view of my rich condition without remedy." So he's starting to, in this he said it's been a curse rather than a blessing. So obviously he's starting to be woke about the things that are going on, which caused him to be an abolitionist. But I'll get to that. Another quote that he said, he said, "I often found myself regretting my own existence and wishing myself dead, and but for the hope of being free, I have no doubt but that I should have killed myself or done something for which I should have been killed." So this man is basically saying that he would rather kill himself than to understand that the things that are going on in society where he is, because he's starting to realize, like, he's a slave, not going to ever be free. In the story they talked about, he was with these white kids and they were saying that they were going to be free at 21. They can go live on his own. And he realized he's going to be a slave forever. So my fourth quote, he said, "It opened my eyes to the horrible pit, but to hold ladder upon which to get out." So basically he was saying reading and writing opened his eyes to the hell that was going on in the world. And he's regretting learning how to read and write. And the last quote, he says, "My learning to read had already came, torment and sting my soul to unterrible anguish." Like, it doesn't get, like, this dude's literally regretting how to read and write. He was talking about being abolitionist and everything because, he was starting to, he was reading this one book about this slave and how the slave was talking to the owner and everything. And he just started to realize some things that he never knew. And he was trying to, he started even calling some of the slaves stupid. Like, they wasn't educating themselves, and he just hated himself for learning how to read and write because he was starting to get woke to the society of things, and he didn't like it. So that's why I believe that the theme of ignorance, knowledge and ignorance, because the knowledge let him realize the ignorance that was going on in the world. That's how I portrayed this story, Lord. So I have 3 questions that I would like to ask you, if you don't mind. First question being, do you agree with the author's idea? Why or why not? Based upon the quotations that I gave.
Yeah, I agree with the author's ideas and like what he's trying to portray. Like he's telling his life story. So it's not like it's a fiction story where like he's creating something like that's real life. So yes, I agree with what he's saying.
Good. Yeah, I agree, obviously, as well, because he's regretting the knowledge and the ignorance in the world that he's starting to realize. Number 2, how do you think this essay relates to our current society? That's a good question. That is a good question.
Okay.
That is a good question. That is a good question. Go ahead. Tear it up.
Okay. So thank you for letting me have the floor finally.
Yeah.
But that has a lot to do with our current society because there are a lot of people who are Black African American and like they still don't see like what's going on in the world and like they blame like what's going on like with our Black people on like being ignorant or being a thug. Like they'll be like, oh, if you just did this and that, like they wouldn't bother you. But like it's not about that. It's about the color of your skin. Like people are very ignorant. Certain Black people are very ignorant to what's going on in the world, especially once they vote for Trump. Like you're stupid. You want nothing to do with you.
Yeah. I've taken a little different route. You know, when that movie, what was it called? Get Out. Stay woke. Yeah, like you got to stay woke out here. I feel like that's how I looked at it. Basically, there's a lot of African Americans that aren't woke to society. They don't understand what's going on, and then they start to realize, and then they're like, it just hit them all in the face. Like, wow, this police brutality stuff is going on. Wow, this and that and this. Yup, you gotta stay woke. So it's like, and it's like you don't even want to really accept it. So like, kind of like Frederick Douglass, it's like, man, you don't even really want to accept it. And oh, this is a good point. You have some Black people that like don't agree with the Black Lives Matter stuff and stuff like that. So like, they just, I don't know, they're not really like woke to really what's going on, and they're kind of like ignoring what's going on with the African American culture. And one last question, Lauren. Do you think you would go back and read this essay after class?
I've actually have read it before in like high school, so like yeah, I'll read it again. It's very interesting.
Okay. After finding these 5 quotes and reading the story the one time, I think I'm gonna go back and read this. Just to gain some more knowledge about what's going on in this essay. So
movie? Is it like a movie?
Frederick Douglass movie? I don't know.
There should be.
If it is, check it out. I think I look like Frederick Douglass. I could play, doing movies.
I don't think so.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Fields, Dr. Fields. I apologize, but kudos.